So here we are. I'm very thankful that the fire department allowed us to come out and capture this, because this is something we built a while ago and I've really wanted to come back here and show it to you guys. So this is a 3-story building with the vertical tower. So let's just start off the tour in the first level. Let's go see what's in there. So what we're doing here, we're getting everything drawn up. We did this mod 10 years ago and we're gonna convert this to a 3D model and see if we can get our structural engineer to stamp this thing, because it's sitting at a single city's fire department training zone, and 3 of the local cities, they're merging together. And so it's got to go, I don't know, what is it, 10 kilometers down the road. And it'd be so sweet to actually pick this thing up as one unit and move it, but I don't think that's possible. So we're gonna probably have to cut it apart, get it engineered, because things are different nowadays, and see if we can get the 3 cities to agree on how to get this thing commissioned for future use and future training. So here I'm underneath the 2nd floor deck, and it's actually really cool the way our local fab shop connected this. So they did a 8.5 by 2 rec tube all the way around, but then they laser cut these plates. They're little hooks, and probably just brought this in with a bobcat or a forklift or something, just set it right in there. And it probably damn near supported itself just as it is. But then the 2 huge 6x6 HSS vertical columns holding this thing up. And it's actually just on a compacted gravel slab, and it's been this way for 10 years and it's been perfect. So all those engineers that are worried about the foundation plans, this is a good example of how these containers are stable, and especially all connected together with everything that they have here. This thing's planted and hasn't moved, I guess, in 10 years. These windows we manufactured, we wanted to do something very rugged that would stand the test of time, be very weatherproof by reusing the shipping container corrugations, and allow them to, be liberal with them. And this here, it still works very well to this day. We did this 10 years ago. We slapped a coat of paint on it, but I'm really surprised at how all the welds and all the sealant and everything's not too rusty, especially over all that time. Actually, see, the job we did is probably a little bit better than the job the other welding company did. But this here, we'll leave that open to give ourselves some light. But let's jump inside and see what it looks like. Once you jump in here, this is their training facility, and rainwater can get in here, and it has been landing on the floor. It's actually it's good to see. I guess there's a lot of air moving here and it can evaporate all this moisture, and I'm really surprised that the floor isn't more damaged than it is. But what we did to make this feel like an open room here is we installed our old way of doing roll-up door frame. So it's 2x3 rec tube, and I think we did a 10-foot opening. Let's see here. Yeah, it's 10.5 inches to the outside, so 10 feet inside, and you probably went either 6'8" or 7 feet high, probably 6'8", because that's the regular opening of a man door. Yeah, nailed it. So we have 80-inch by 10-foot opening. That makes a living room sort of area or a kitchen area. And then inside of this, they did a bedroom at the back end, and also, I guess, the initial connection for their fire truck to hook up to all the water that's coming through this, and then where it's sprinklered and everything. And then they also did a stairwell. So they did a little faux mechanical room underneath the stairs, you can see here, and then just 2x4 frame the wall. But check this out, this is a prime example. This is black mold right here. So all this drywall, it's been getting wet. They've been hosing it down with water, the doors, everything. That's what wicks that moisture. That's what creates the health concern. Constant long exposure to that will cause problems both mentally and physically. So that's what we try to avoid. That's why we're really fussy with all of our steel studding and spray foam as the only insulation option with all of our mods. Let's go check it out, see what else we can find. So here at the back end of this facility, on both 40-foot containers, there's bedrooms, and then between the hallway where the stairs are, we just did a little man door opening. But in each of these bedrooms, oh, there's a dead pigeon in there, nice. In the bedrooms, there's different windows and an ability to simulate different instances, whether you gotta get an animal out or get the kids out. So it's really cool. They're trying to simulate all the rooms of a home and give themselves as real life of a scenario as possible when they're fighting these fires. Let's check out the staircase. So here we've actually done another opening. So this is a man door sized opening between the 2 containers. So you can get at the staircase from either of the base 40-foot containers, and then beside me here is the other bedroom. But what's interesting, we did the first staircase. We did this one here, and what we did is we actually put a rec tube right across the containers from the top 60 millimeter tubing. It looks like a 2x3 rec tube. straight across, and that allows the weight of the roof corrugations and whatever to span. So it looks like we did this one, and we did it a little bit differently than a local fab shop would have attacked it. I'm not saying either one of them's right, and then we'll see what we use to trim around. I think the fab shop came and did it, so it's probably very similar to either a 6-inch or potentially they did a full 8-inch C-channel. So actually here, now that I get up here, I see we actually welded a flat bar straight up and down, and then the top container, we trimmed it. We actually had some just random folded C-channel profile, and it looked like it worked really well. There's only about a 1/4-inch gap between the one and the other, and this would be very easily sealed if they cared, but they actually want a little bit of leakage and air movement so that this thing can breathe and eliminate the humidity. So this, a lot of it was pre-done by us ahead of time and seems to have worked out quite well. So I'm impressed with this. I don't really know, I haven't done a ton of staircases through containers. This would be my first one and potentially my only one. But if we were to do double deckers and stuff, I'm sure we'd attack it. And we'd use modern manufacturing techniques nowadays. We'd be laser cutting everything, folding it. It'd have all pre-referenced holes, and we'd be probably bolting it, not welding. So for training purposes, yeah, it's just a barrel latch, but we just reused the container corrugations and trimmed it out with 2 1/4-inch angle iron, and that is super durable. So rather than try to use a regular window, especially if a fire was going on, it'd be a one-time training and they'd be swapping them out. So here, yeah, this thing's been used for 10 years and it still actually looks really good. Another thing, if you look here, it's just clear silicone, which isn't really that sweet. But when we weld, we just stitch weld, and that doesn't warp all the corrugation. So this window wouldn't have closed right if we would have seam welded all the way around. So just stitches and then seal it up with sealant. And then obviously you can't paint over clear, but the sealant's even actually holding really well. So for 10 years, I'm super impressed. I was saying in the videos that this is gonna rust and look like shit within a year or two, and it looks good after 10. So I'm actually impressed with that. And up here, there's actually a C-channel right in the outside corrugation and a big grade 8 bolt and an area to rappel actually down out of this window for the trainees. So here they've plumbed this with their 2.5-inch water where they can hook their hose up to, and then they've pulled sprinklers off there where they can practice running sprinkler heads in a simulated bedroom there. So in that, there's actually another test window and there's a door so they can lock it up and bust in. They can rappel down, and they can also play around with more commercial buildings that have commercial sprinklers and practice changing out the heads if for some reason they were melted or weren't working and they needed them going. I don't know how well that would work in a live fire, but you guys actually have been shooting water inside this container, right? And lots of water?
Not lots, but yeah, we try and keep it minimal because of obviously...
Well, it's a sealed floor kind of, but do you just open the doors and squeegee it out? Or do you notice that it's like leaking through the floor, or does the floor seem to be pretty solid?
Pretty solid.
Obviously the gap here.
Yeah, I think what we get is more rain issues.
Oh yeah.
So obviously it just rained, and if you go downstairs, you'll see there's a little bit of a puddle downstairs.
Okay.
So I think it has more to do with...
Like you can just see rough cut openings.
Yeah.
I don't know if, I think this was just cut on site.
I believe so.
Yeah, and then it's just, it looks like a 3x3, 2.5 by 2.5 angle iron just overlapped on either side. So that's, if we have to move these, this is something we have to just zip off, which is easy. What do we got going on here? Stairs. So what is this like, does this simulate anything or just?
It's kind of a, no, not particularly, just the way kind of it was.
Yeah.
The staircase and the way things were built. But it could simulate like, I guess we could have like, this could be our basement, right? So
yeah.
we could enter from,
oh yeah.
you know, and then you could have people and whatnot, but yeah.
So here we got black mold. Yeah, nice. But that's, I always talk about black mold, and there it is. Here it is in the flesh. So containers are very humid, and if someone was to, a lot of people in like third world countries, they'll just live in a straight non-insulated container, and then they'll put drywall and just, even if it wasn't raining in here, there's definitely no holes in the roof above, so this is just humidity and moisture. And that was in the basement that I grew up in and causes health concerns, and that's why I'm so against it and only want to use steel studs and only want to use spray foam and everything that's non-porous. But obviously it's to be expected in here because they're dumping, you know, thousands of gallons of water when they're doing training. We're already on the second floor right now, and I want to jump up and see what it looks like on the third. So we're good to go up here? Let's go. So here we're actually, what are we? We're pretty much 20 feet up in the air now. Here's another window. So this is the same. I think these might have been punched in after by whoever did the welding outside, but it's the same 1.5 inch square tube and then angle iron frame, but they've matched the same barrel style pull for the window opening. But if you actually look outside here, we're up there already. So there's the old fire department unit, and then right up here is where they can actually hook up and then rappel down again. And so that's already, I'm not good with heights, so that'd be the max I want to go down, but they actually have a 40 standing straight up and down, so let's go check that out.
Wow.
That's cool. A lot of people wonder, how do you get out of a container from the inside? And firefighters figured it out. So this here actually allows them to open this from the inside. As long as this is unlatched, that opens up. And then if you look, there's actually a lever here. Sounds great. That's really cool. So when they're doing the training, as long as that latch is undone, they'll actually be able to get up through here and then get out. So here, very similar to the staircase that comes up this thing right when you, and this is super well built. This is a local fab shop that did this and did a good job. I like the way that they did the stairs. And now it gets a little bit, if you're scared of heights, here we are. So they got this this ladder here. It's off an old train bridge actually, and so they repurposed it for the firefighter training. But I guess while we're here, we should jump up there. Somebody catch me if I fall. So here we're actually standing on top of a 40-foot shipping container straight up and down, and they can open up this gate and rappel down the roof corrugations of the container. They actually want to cut a manhole so they could simulate going into the storm sewer as well and then rappel down inside the container, but it's got to cut a door at the bottom. It's kind of awkward because our traditional, you know, horizontal container, now we got to get our door to fit that way. So maybe once we move this structure to its new location, we might be able to figure that out. But really cool here. We got the nice head frame. Everything's kind of welded up as safe as it can be, but these firefighters, they're pros and they're good at what they do. And if you just look down here, this here is it's an evergreen container, and so these are not really the traditional end wall corrugations, which is actually a good thing because they're a little bit tighter together and it's not so awkward to walk on. But probably up here, what you should do is lay a layer of bar grading or something so you have sure footing, especially once these are open. But there is a headache rack or whatever you'd call that, where everyone would be in their safety gear and all harnessed up to be up here. But without this open, it feels pretty safe.